Hey everybody, what's up? It's your boy MJ, and welcome to the Black Wine Guy Experience Before the Pour, aka 20 Questions with MJ. My guest today is esteemed Châteauneuf-du-Pape vigneron and winemaker Isabel Ferrando. Isabel has been cultivating vines and making wine in Châteauneuf-du-Pape for 18 years. Her wines have been dubbed by critics some of the most profound wines on the planet. Shout out to Jeb. Inspired by the Burgundian tradition of single vineyards, Isabel produced 3 different cuvées from Saint Prefert estates from 2003 to 2019: Classique, Réserve, Auguste, Favier, and Collection Charles Giraud. She's going to help me with my French later. Isabel maintains a strong commitment to organic and biodynamic practices in all of her work. Welcome, Isabel.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here with you.
I'm so excited to be here with you. Now, to warm us up a bit, I'm going to start by asking you some personal questions, followed by the 10 questions from the Proust questionnaire. All right, so the key is just whatever comes to your head quickly. There's no wrong answers.
Mhm.
And I make fun of everything everybody says, but I don't think I'll be able to do it because your accent is just so alluring, so you're going to be just fine. All right?
Okay.
All right. What is your favorite book?
Oh, it's a French book. I r- I forget the name of the guy. He was ambassador of France in Los Angeles,
Okay.
and he writes a fantastic book about his story with his mother. He was born in Polska, and that is a story of a guy who is leaving her country and was an immigrated in France and became one of the best ambassador of France. That's why I love this story and this guy.
That's a
Right?
great story.
Yes, yes.
Very good. Okay, what
You-
is your favorite movie?
Maybe West Side Story.
Oh,
Yes.
now the original, or I haven't seen the new one. I heard the new one was really good, actually, but I
I
haven't seen
didn't
it.
see the new,
Yeah.
but I speak about the previous because it's one of the nice face of New York story and American people story with the opposition between three culture,
Mm-hmm.
what is a melting pot of America, and it interests me a lot, a lot, a lot. I love this story and music, of course,
Yeah.
and jazz, of course.
Of course. Speaking of music, who is your favorite musical artist or group?
I love a fantastic player. He's alive. He's a jazz player, Jackie Terrasson. He
Okay.
has double nationality, French and American. And we spent a few days together 2 years ago before the COVID in New York. And he invites me in different club of jazz, smoke and different club in New York. And it is one of my favorite players. He plays jazz, new jazz.
Okay, love it.
Mhm.
What is your favorite food? It's Isabel's last meal. She's on death row. I don't know why, someone as kind as you, but what did you do to get on death row? What are you having? What's your last meal? Favorite thing to eat?
So I love a lot fishes
Okay.
because I'm born in a Mediterranean region, and we cook a lot of vegetables and fishes. I have a particular sensibility to the Greek foods
Okay.
with a lot of fishes, and for example, I love les polpo.
Yeah,
Polpo.
pulpo.
Yes, I love that. I know that not everybody likes that, but I do.
Yeah. No, it's delicious. Got to be perfect, though. It's poached and then grilled, perfect.
Exact. yeah.
Simple, some sea
Yes.
salt, lemon, some
Yes.
fresh herbs. Um, who is your favorite athlete?
My favorite.
Athlete, so tennis player, golf player. Do you watch sports at all?
Oh,
Athletic?
I play a lot of sports.
Okay, so
I
who's your
do-
favorite? Are you your favorite athlete? You can
I love running
Okay.
and walking. Walking. I walk a lot. A lot. For example, I spend a few days in New York, and I do every day around 20 kilometers a day. So I walk a lot. Yes, it's half marathon.
be. Yeah, that's
Every day.
for you regular people. That's 12.4 miles.
Yes.
No, 12.8. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
This is, I think, fast. Yes.
Wow. Um,
But
he-
Provence is very fantastic for that, for walking. Yes.
I could see that.
Mhm.
Yeah. All the fields and the lavender and all that.
Exact.
Yeah.
Yes.
So here's where I'm going to learn about French culture even more. Favorite cartoon, animated show as a child? Did you watch cartoons? You watch animated shows when you're growing up? Like, I don't even know a French cartoon.
You want
Okay, so like Mickey Mouse is a cartoon. Did you have like a Mickey Mouse in France that you used to watch growing up?
a symbol of French culture?
Yes.
In the south of France, for Christmas Day, we have a little Muppets
Yep. Mhm.
made in it's not in wood, but like ceramic,
Yep.
paints, and they are a symbol of Provence. We speak about Santon of Provence, and that is one of the symbol of my culture. My culture is culture of sun, of wind. The wind blows a
What's it
lot.
called? Mistral, right?
Exact.
Yeah.
The Mistral and
Mm.
olive trees
Yeah.
and a culture of family moment. A lot of moment around the table, playing with children and speaking with them. Yes, that is my culture. And fireplace during the winter.
Oh, this is going to be a good one. Um, well, you already answered this. What you do for exercise? You love to walk for exercise. Do you have a favorite comedian in France? It's someone who makes you laugh.
Make me laugh. Not really make me laugh, but I love a lot Mr. Montand.
Okay.
You know Monsieur Montand.
Yeah.
His dad is dead, of course, but he has a double career, a big part in France and a little part in America. And for me, it's Yves Montand is a symbol of the French culture. Is coming from Italia.
Mm-hmm.
Have a very nice career in France and was able to be the best, one of the best ambassador of France. And that is what I love in him. And a great actor, of course.
Okay, next question. Who would you most like to have a bottle of wine with? And this could be someone who's deceased that we can bring back. It could be who would you most want to have a bottle of wine with?
Could you repeat because
Yeah. So if you could drink a bottle of wine
yes,
with anyone,
yes,
anytime throughout
Yes.
history, who would that be?
So maybe a Spanish wine.
Okay.
Yes, from Mr. Alvaro Palacios,
Yep.
who is in Priorat
Okay.
and makes fabulous wine in Priorat with Grenache. So fruity, so fresh that I love his wines, and maybe that is one of my favorite red bottle in the world.
Oh wow.
Yes,
Mm.
and in the white maybe Burgundy wine from Mr. Jean-Marc Rouleau in Meursault.
Okay, Mr. Rouleau.
The simple Burgundy from Jean-Marc Rouleau is fantastic,
Yeah.
and there are two bottles.
That's where the value is because a lot of that is declassified fruit sometimes, or it's right next to it doesn't. Yeah, so those are great values. Okay,
Yeah.
so these next questions are from the Proust questionnaire, and I'm going to start now. Isabel, what is your favorite word?
My favorite word?
Yes.
Love.
Mm.
Of course, because that is a big question of life, and that is the most important emotion in life. There is no nice life without love, so love is my word. Yes.
I love it. What is your least favorite word?
After love, eating, drinking, friends, family, and son, and read. I love read.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
yes.
What turns you on? What excites you?
The next project,
Oh, wow. I love
future, what
Mm.
happens tomorrow, and what excites me, my daughter.
Oh,
She's the love for me.
yeah.
Yes.
Very nice. What turns you off? What do you dislike greatly?
Dislike?
Yeah.
Don't like.
Yeah. What don't you like?
The stupidity.
There you go. That's a good one.
Yes. But it is very often,
Yeah, it's kind of prevalent in
Yes.
some places at times. All right. What sound or noise do you love?
The noise that I love, the noise of the sea, maybe, yes, or the wind, the noise of the nature, yes. That is what I miss in New York, the noise of the nature,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, absolutely. What sound or noise do you hate?
The subway. Excuse me. Subway is strange for me.
It's even stranger since COVID happened. It's really strange. It's weirder.
With the metallic noise.
Yeah, it's very grinding and,
yes.
and jerky. Yeah.
It's too.
It's abrasive.
Yes,
Yeah,
aggressive for me. Exact. Yes.
Okay. And please say this in French if you want to. What is your favorite curse word?
Curse word?
Yeah, merde. What's your favorite?
Ah, putain de con. Excuse me.
That's okay.
Because in Provence, we always make more and more. So putain is not enough. De con is not enough.
Right.
Putain de con, that is. Okay, enough.
Okay. What profession other than your own? So instead of being a vigneron, what else would you like to try?
You know, I think I met my vocation when I became a vigneron because I was banker before,
Okay.
so nobody is perfect. And if I didn't was winemaker, maybe I would like to be painter.
Okay. Very nice.
Yes.
Very nice.
I love culture and painting, especially. Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes.
All right. We have just a few more questions. What profession would you not like to do? So what would you not want to do ever?
Politician. Politic woman.
Yeah.
Yes. My husband was politic guy.
Okay.
I hate his ambience. I hate that. So I know that I absolutely don't want to do that.
Gotcha.
They are necessary, but it's not for me.
Not for you.
Not for me.
Okay. We just have one more question, Isabel. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
If
heaven exists, if you go to heaven,
yes.
What do you want God to say to you when you get there?
Oh, books with me and my daughter with me. Books, my daughter, and a glass of wine.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, this was fun. If you want more Isabel, and I know you do, make sure you tune in to our episode of the Black Wine Guy Experience. Peace. Hang on. Do you hear a buzz?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Let me check it.
Yeah. Hold on. I just caught that.
Yes.
So before we go on to the podcast proper.
I don't hear it anymore.
I mean, it could just be.
It might just be the headphones.
Might be the headphones. Yeah. Okay, now we're gonna start. That was great. Thank you.
It's charming.
Yeah.
Since how many times do you do that?
I started a year and a half ago, so you're gonna be like episode 80 or so.
Okay, 80.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
And then I also do interviews just on social media.
Okay. I suppose yes.
Yeah.
It's very influent.
But that's just it's practice at the craft.
Of course.
But these are so much fun. So we're just checking because it might just be my headphones. Just the headphones?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. All right. Ready, rock and roll? Mademoiselle, is it Madame, Mademoiselle?
As you want. I prefer Mademoiselle.
Okay, perfect. No, I was
Like a movie star.
I know. All right. Hey, everybody, what's up? It's your boy MJ, and welcome to the Black Wine Guy Experience. My guest today is esteemed Châteauneuf-du-Pape vigneron and winemaker Isabel Ferrando. Isabel has been cultivating vines and making wine in Châteauneuf-du-Pape for 18 years. Her wines have been dubbed by critics as some of the most profound wines on the planet. Shout out to Jeb. Inspired by the Burgundian tradition of single vineyards, Isabel produced 3 different cuvées from Saint Prefert's estates from 2003 to 2019, Classique, Réserve, Auguste, Favier, and Collection Charles Giraud. Isabel remains and maintains a strong commitment to organic and biodynamic practices in all of her work. Welcome, Isabel.
Thank you. Thank you for your welcome, and I'm happy to be here with you today.
So happy to be here with you. We had a couple of false starts. We thought we were going to do this back in January, and that didn't happen, and thought we were going to do it earlier in the week, and then, silly Americans, like, we don't, we tell time, like, we should have used, 1500 and 1700, so it just got all just jumbled. But we're here now, and Mademoiselle is amazing, and this is going to be a great show. I'm super excited because, as y'all know, if you follow me, and listen, I love Chateauneuf-du-Pape. I love Rhone varietals, and I think that Pinot Noir wants to be like Grenache when it grows up.
I'm agree with you. Congratulations. That is exactly what I think and what I feel. Yes.
So tell everybody about the wines you brought to share.
Oh, so today I share with you two bottles, a bottle of white of Châteauneuf-du-Pape and a bottle of red. The white is very interesting for me to share that bottle with you because it's a new project that I offer to the customers since the vintage 2020.
Oh, wow.
One, it's a first baby, and if you see the label, I changed the name for the name of family Isabel Ferrando.
Oh, wow.
And it's new. After Saint Prefert, I create a single new white of Châteauneuf-du-Pape under the name of Family Isabel Ferrando. The grapes are the same. They are coming from the terroir of Saint Prefert.
Okay.
Big stones, gravel, blue, clay, and sand. The grapes are the same, a blend of Claret and Roussanne, but I changed something. And my secret is that I use a glass vat for making fermentation.
All
I
right,
see
I
your
gotta
eyes.
stop you.
Yes.
This is a first for me.
It's a first
A
for
glass
a lot
vat?
of people. Yes.
I mean, I know amphora, you know concrete, I know, but you
Yes.
said glass?
I say glass.
Wow.
Why? Why? Because with the glass, I obtain the best purity and salinity in the wine that I am looking for. In the Rhone Valley, in the south of the Rhone Valley, our challenge is to obtain the best quality of the freshness as possible. With glass, I obtain a fantastic sensation of freshness and salinity in the wine. That is new. That is my new project that we share together. And you are one of the first in New York to taste this wine.
See, I
That's
love this.
you.
That's huge.
The black wine guy.
Exactly. This podcast thing is paying off for me.
I'm happy.
I'm so excited. And you
Yes.
said, and what's the blend? You said it's Claret and
And Roussanne,
What,
yes.
what's the percentage? Just curious.
The Claret is around 70%
Okay.
and Roussanne 30%. I am one of the first winemaker in Châteauneuf-du-Pape to use so many Claret in the blend.
Yeah.
You know, Chateauneuf is the school of blending.
Yeah.
And we love to use different grapes variety. We can use 13 different grapes variety for blending. I only use 2 for the wine, Claret and Roussanne, and I select the Claret because of the freshness. This grapes variety is very interesting for aging, a long aging. And as a woman, the wines is one of the best product who slowly age very well, you know.
Yes.
Isn't it?
It's very true. Yes.
You agree.
I agree, mademoiselle. All right. And so we like to start at the beginning. So you were born in Carpentras,
Yes.
Carpentras
Yes.
in southeastern France. Okay, where's that located? Because I don't know. I'm sure most of my listeners don't know, except for those who are winemakers who have visited your
Yes.
area.
Yes.
Where's that located, and what was it like growing up?
I was a children born at the foot of Mont Ventoux. It's a little mountain in south of France, and Carpentras is a town at the foot of Mont Ventoux. And nobody in my family does do any wines before me. I am the first one.
Wow.
And it was a big surprise for my family, especially because I was a super student. I do a fantastic business school and a fantastic political science studies. But my vocation was not here. And a day, after meeting my darling, my husband, I decided to change of life and to become winemaker. Everybody around me tells me, you're crazy. You will stop in the next 2 years. But no, 20 years after, I am a raised winemaker and so happy to be winemaker. So why do I become winemaker? I think that it was my vocation. I'm not able to do something different. I love wine making and I love spend my time in the vineyard and speak with my team and I love create, and wine for me are such a part of artistic creation.
Yeah.
That is what I love this job,
Yeah.
and this job is my life.
Well, let's back up because we got a long way to go from being winemaker. So, did you have a big family? Did you have any brothers or sisters? Any siblings?
Yes.
Was it sœurs and frères? Do you have any sœurs and frères?
I have two sisters.
Okay.
One is living in Nouvelle-Calédonie, New Caledonia,
Oh, wow.
very far away, close to Japan.
Yeah.
And she's married with a fantastic family from India. And my little sister, Sophie, is living in France. And she's the mother of a fantastic lady, Mathilde. But nobody makes wines in my
Okay.
family.
Okay.
And the first is teacher. The second one is manager of a team of teacher.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So, like you said, no one in your family has ever made wine.
No.
But wine is part of the culture where you're from, right? So did your family always have wine on the table growing up?
Of course. When I was young, in Christmas, there is a lot of tradition in Provence. One of the most important is the fact that we drink Châteauneuf-du-Pape. That is the king of the wines for the Rhône Valley and Provence, Provençal culture. And I remember when I was young, I wait for that my parents go to the bed, and in the night I go back around the table and finished the glass of Chateauneuf. So I was happy, and I remarked that these wines were fantastic with a lot of fruit. Candy fruits even give me a fabulous sensation of fruits of the summer, sensation of sweet,
Mm-hmm.
and the sensation of course, a little bit of ivresse. I was a little bit cranky, but so nice to be like this. So when I became winemaker, I had only one project. It was Châteauneuf-du-Pape or nothing. And my husband tells me, it's impossible, Isabel, there is no harvest to sell in Châteauneuf, excepted one, Saint Prefert. And that is the moment where I meet my destiny. I meet Saint Prefert, and it was, comment vous dites, le coup de foudre. I fall in love with his vintage, and vineyard, excuse me. And it was in the year 2003.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
So before that, you said, I think at some point we were talking, probably in the before the pour, you were a banker.
Yes.
Okay. So did you live in a larger city when you were doing the banking? Where were you working as a banker?
I was banker in the south of France, close to Avignon, in
Okay.
the little town named Nîmes. In Nîmes, I was director of farmers, the market of the farmers, agricole business
Okay. Yes. Yes. Yes.
of
Mhm.
the agricole industry.
Mhm.
And I remark that people do good business with a lot of farmers' business, and especially with the wine. But it was just a business. And I spent a long time in the vineyard with my customers. And I remarked that I love wines more and more. And a day I thought, if this guy can do wines, why not me? Because it was possible. The only question I asked to me was, is that possible for a woman? It was 20 years ago, And I thought, is that possible for me physically to do wine? I know it was possible because when I decide to change of life, I go back to the school, and then I understand that everything is possible when you believe in your project.
We're getting gems already. So let's talk about your family. Your father's from Algeria, correct?
Yes,
Okay,
exact.
okay.
Yes.
And you've mentioned other articles that the roots have influenced your palate and therefore your winemaking. Like what type of meals were prepared in your home?
So my father is born in Algeria, that's true, and I have a big influence of Oriental flavors
Yeah.
in my kitchen. And my mother is born in Provence, and the melting point between these two is fabulous. So From Algeria, I eat a lot of couscous because you know what is the first plate in the cooking in France? It's couscous.
Best couscous I ever had was in Paris.
Yes,
I was staying in Le Marais.
yes.
It was like eating air. It was so light. I couldn't
Yes.
believe it. It was so light. It
Yes.
was like eating. It was so amazing.
And the spice and
Yeah.
all the different spice in the couscous are interesting for me. With the red of Châteauneuf-du-Pape, it's fantastic. In Provence, we have a lot of vegetables, of fruits, candy fruits, and the lamb, and a lot of honey. And this is melt with almond. With the melting of this food is the best meal you can imagine with our wines. But today I love a lot Japanese food. I love Oriental food, of course,
Yeah.
and American food too, of course.
Well, you didn't have American food for lunch. You went for French food, but that's okay. It's fine. It's totally fine. And what do you know about? This is interesting. What do you know about Algeria and like the French wine trade? Like I've heard that they used to bring grapes from Algeria, Morocco, and like
Yes, yes.
boost up Burgundy. Like what do you know about that? Being that
Many people who follows me on Instagram ask to me, "You did travel 3 times in Algeria? Why?" And I have to say to you that I go back in Algeria next month. Why? Because that is a fantastic country. And this country have a fantastic vineyard with old Cinsault. The best Cinsault I ever seen in the world are in Algeria.
okay, so. I don't, but like I know they also have some old vines in Lebanon, but I think people forget like those countries, Lebanon, Algeria, they're in part of the Mediterranean basically.
No, there's Mediterranean
Yeah.
between us. So I take the fly from Marseille to Alger,
Okay.
and then I spend a long moment in the vineyard in Algeria, because the Algerian government asked to me to help a little
Oh,
bit
wow.
to give advices, and I love that. Algeria vineyard is sleeping, but I have a lot of hopes for them for wake up this vineyard with fantastic grapes and vine of Cinsault.
I love Cinsault, by the
Me
way.
too.
I was
Me too.
I was like, is she gonna bring? Because I know you make.
Yes,
It's very
pure
expensive. Yeah, you
Cinsault.
make a pure Cinsault. It's like
Yes.
$700 a bottle
Yes.
at retail. But
Yes. Yes.
when something big, next big thing happens, money wise, like I get some money, like a lot of money.
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna get that bottle.
But I invite you in my estate,
Okay,
and we
perfect.
test together at
That's even
home.
better. But yeah, I don't want to get ahead, but I think I read somewhere in the cuvée Auguste Favier there is a
Yes.
little bit of Cinsault. in it.
Exact,
Yeah.
exact. That is one of my favorite second grapes variety in the blend of Châteauneuf-du-Pape. Cinsault is like a Pinot Noir
Yes.
in Rhône Valley.
Yeah.
They give flowers of rose of garden, and it is very fragile, very elegant.
Yes.
That is like Muppets in a sugar, you know? When in September, when rain falls, we have to be very carefully about the skin of the Cinsault because they are very fragile. And I always wait for the best moments, for the maturity, perfect maturity, for keeping my Cinsault, for making my best wines as possible. And the fabulous cuvée F601, who is a pure Cinsault cuvée. Algeria inspires me for this special cuvée. There are Cinsault in my vineyard who were planted in the 1928.
Oh wow.
Very old grapes and very old vine. I am very proud about that, and we care very carefully. We work very carefully this vine like my baby. Each food is my baby. My team know that. That is a private garden, just for the best of the team. That is a Cinsault. Cinsault is very interesting.
Yeah. And now I'm gonna be on the lookout for like Algerian Cinsault. It's on my radar.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Because I it is such an underrated grape. I love it. It's beautiful.
Yes.
I agree with you. Okay, so you said you were your focus, your sector of banking was agriculture, agronomy, and so you would go out to the vineyards with your
Yes.
clients, and you were like, "Oh my God, I love this," and you kind of figured out what you were going to do. So, at some point, I figure you probably went back to your parents and said, "Hey,
Yes.
I'm going to stop being a banker,
Yes.
and I want to be a winemaker." What did they say?
So my parents were not agree with me, of course, but I was an adult, and you are an adult when we decide alone what you want to do, and you do it by yourself. But the most important to know is that my husband was my first supporter, and that is because he was behind me and tells, "You can do it. You can do it. Do it. I am here for the family.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be anxious." So I leave the bank and I take my chance. And I begin this new job with no anxious. I was today. When I think about this moment, I say you were crazy. You would never imagine how much difficult it was, because it was difficult, of course. But I was so sure that it was my destiny.
Mm.
I do it, and the miracle comes from America, because the second supporter of my job after my husband was Robert Parker.
Oh, wow.
He gives me a fabulous rating for my first vintage. And I have to say that the American spirit is fantastic, because you don't want that somebody makes the job since 20 years before saying it's a good job. You taste and you say it's
Right,
good or
right.
no.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is the difference with the French mentality.
Yeah.
And American people welcome me immediately. That's why I never forget that.
Yeah.
I never forget.
Yeah.
Thank you, America.
So for that first vintage, did you jump right in and purchase Prefert, or did you have to purchase grapes? And how did it? Did you buy grapes? So this probably you had to buy.
No, I never buy grapes.
Okay, so you
never.
bought. You and your husband went in
Yes.
and bought.
Yes,
Okay.
all the grapes are coming from my own vineyard.
it.
I don't buy grapes.
Gotcha.
Like America, it's not so evident in
I know,
France.
right? Yeah.
Yes,
It's a little
yes,
different here. Like people,
yes.
there's people who just grow grapes and don't even make wine.
It's not the same job for me. The business is not my subject. My
Gotcha.
subject is to be happy in what I do. And I love working my soil and my vineyard. It's my baby. I am living in the middle of my vineyard, you know. Every day when I open my eyes, I see my vineyard. And they are my baby. Each one takes me, "Hello, ma'am," each morning. So I can't imagine to buy grapes. It's not my job.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's a big difference. I think that a lot of listeners don't kind of get. Like here, there's people. I mean, we have people in the United States who have a wine, who make wine, and they don't make it. They actually either hire someone completely to make it, or they buy bulk juice like a negociant would, and put a label on it, and then just go to town on the marketing versus like
Yes.
worrying about what's in the bottle.
The consumers make the difference. I'm sure. It's another job. I respect it absolutely. That is a choice, but the consumers makes a difference, and they accept to pay a price for a job,
Yeah.
and a good job, a good price for me.
Yeah.
The expression of the terroir in France is important idea, because that is like if you speak about the place where you are born. The wines are born where? The wines are the expression of the place where they are born. And for us, it's very important, because that is a way of thinking the life. For everybody, the place where you are born is important. It's the same for the wine. For me.
Yeah, yeah. That's so funny. I mean, so many people like me. I'm like, I can't say I hate where I'm born, but I don't want to live there anymore. We're a little different. Everybody like wants to move from their small town to like New York or Los Angeles. You know what I mean?
Yes,
we
I
don't.
understand.
We're not surrounded by beautiful vineyards and lavender fields and just Mistral winds bringing that salt air off the Mediterranean.
Yes, but the roots, the idea of the roots is
Yeah, yeah.
important for
Absolutely.
French people and for wine lovers. I know they they feel the special relationships between the winemakers and the soil and the roots.
Yeah. So let's back up a bit because you had never made wine before.
Yes.
You purchased a domain. Did you go to some type of winemaker school or did like a
Oh,
crash
it's
course?
Important question. Of course, that's a job that you can learn.
Yes.
If you want to learn it, you have to go back to the school.
Yeah.
That is what I did. I learned my job in the school of winemaking in Carpentras and then in Orange, little town close to Châteauneuf-du-Pape. And second, I learned my job with fantastic winemakers. My teachers were two. Mr. E in Gigondas, a fantastic winemaker. Domaine Raspail E in Gigondas. And second one, Mr. Henri Bonneau in Châteauneuf-du-Pape. Fantastic winemaker, a friend of me.
She's
Yes.
some of you, so I have people who are just beginning in wine, and
Yes.
I have winemakers like you and
Yes.
and vignerons, and Henri Bonneau is like a fucking badass. Like
Yes,
she's
he's a
probably-
pope.
Yeah, he's like exactly. It's
He's
like,
a pope.
It's like she said, yeah, Steven Spielberg helped me make my movie. It's like one of the greatest in the world.
Yes, I know, but Henri was somebody very simple and very often, very open.
Mhm.
He has open minds, and when we meet, it was a joke for him because it was the first time that he accepts to open his door to a teacher, and I was a lady. I was not a man. I was a lady.
You are a lady. You are not a man.
It seems to be. And he was patient and so passionate by the vineyard of Chateauneuf. So we became friends, very close. Our family are very close today, and Henri passed away, but we are very close with his son, Marcel, and then with his wife, Jacqueline, and we see every week. So they are like my family.
Yeah.
And in my spirit, Henri Bonneau is present. I'm not Henri Bonneau, I am Isabel Ferrando, and I do different wines because nobody can copy Henri Bonneau. Henri Bonneau is unique, and the wines are huge. It's a style, but the respect of the terroir is the first lesson of Henri Bonneau.
Mm.
He was a great winemaker, and he has a lot of respect for the terroir of Châteauneuf-du-Pape. That is my first lesson. Yes.
That wine, that's what really got me hooked on Chateauneuf-du-Pape. I had, it was back in 1999.
Yes.
I had a 1990 Bonneau Cuvée de Celestins.
Oui.
But it was even better. It was a merchant, like back in the day, wine merchants, a lot of wine merchants in the U.S. would actually they go visit, but like some had such good relationships, like they would buy a barrel.
Mm-hmm.
So this was like the Reserve de Cuvée Celestins, like it was, which Parker gave 100 points.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, but like I had that wine, I was like, this is it.
It is iconic. It's iconic.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was just like the and I at that point I had Pomerol, I had Petrus, I had
Mhm.
86 Mouton by that point.
Mhm.
But that for me, that was wine. Just was the wow wine. It was just like, oh my God, this is just.
The message of the simplicity is the most difficult message that you can send to the world. And Henri has the genius of the simplicity. He tells me, the best wine that he ever drinks. Do you know what is that? A simple gros plan of Pays Nantais. Why? Because he explains to me when I was child, I go fishing with my father to the Rhône, Rhône River. We stay here, and for the lunch, he opens a bottle of Gros Plan from Pays Nantais. And we drink together this wine, my father and me.
Mm-hmm.
And he tells me the message of the bottle is a message of love life, and the people with who drink the wines are so important, important as the bottle.
Yeah.
So the best bottle of the world, if you taste it alone, sad, in a bad moment of your life, it will not be
Yeah.
the best bottle.
Right.
The best bottle is a fantastic bottle you share with important persons.
Yeah.
That is a message of the simplicity of Henri. So he makes wine with a lot of simplicity, and her wines are fabulous for me, absolutely huge. I remember him each day.
Yeah. And so I would say, and you mentioned your other mentor, his domain was in Gigondas.
Yes, Monsieur E. Raspail E.
That's what
Another personality, somebody very silencious, silence guy. He never. When I arrive, I spent a year with him. The first day, he tells me, Isabel, if you have any question, write it on the paper. And at the end of the year, if you don't find the answer by yourself, you can ask me the question. You imagine? It was incredible, but fantastic lesson, because he explained to me without saying, you have the answer in yourself. So don't lose your time to ask questions, feel what happens, see around you, and take your time. Mr. A is a fantastic person. He retires now, but we meet often and we speak about my job. He's proud of my job, and it touches me that when he says, I am proud of you, Isabel, because it's a great person. He has two children now who works at the head of the estate, and they make very good
Okay.
wines. Yes, yes, nice person.
Yeah. I love his philosophy. I'm someone who never likes to ask a lot of questions because I say if you break the word down, I say when you ask, you are shunning the quest, because the quest is for your own knowledge, and how you get that is, like he said, by doing, by looking within yourself.
Yes,
And so I think that's just a beautiful philosophy of teaching he shared with you.
yes, I think so.
Yeah.
Yes, that is my advice.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So talk a little bit about, because you mentioned this, and you could talk a lot about it, but you were saying you got started like in 2003, and even then it was hard for you as a woman, like, or you thought that. So what? Talk about what it's like to be a female winemaker, vigneron, in a country steeped with tradition. I mean, over here,
Yes,
it's tough
a
over here, but
traditional country.
yeah, but
Yes,
what's
yes,
it
it's
like?
true.
Yeah,
And it's a traditional job.
yes,
This
it gets
the two.
handed down.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
So at the beginning, I don't know exactly what they thought. I think they thought that I will stop. I don't will stay winemaker a long time. So they don't care me. They don't speak with me. I was alone, except at Henri Bonneau, very close to
Mhm.
me. Do I feel a woman in my job? Always. It doesn't stop because I am a woman. So I can change that, and I am happy to be that. But do I have a feminine way of working? I'm not sure. Maybe. I'm not sure. Now it's not my question. A few years ago, it was a question for me because I was attentive that nobody asked me, "Oh, you are a woman? Are you able to do that job?" Of course, everybody can do it. For this job, it is necessary to have a sensibility, not to be strong, to have a sensibility.
Yeah.
That is something different. So the first years, I think they were in the doubt. And it's normal, because before me, there were not a lot of women who are making great wines. It's his job. Now, I think it's not yet a question. It's finished, this question. I feel that my daughter will be winemaker. She works and she's back at school for that. And she explains to me that that is always a question for her, because people around her don't believe that she's able to do the same job as the guy.
Mm.
And she's her sensibility is affected by that. So, my unique advice is don't mention it, don't listen that, do your job and stride on. D- don't mention it. But is that I think it's less hard today.
Yeah.
Yes, and effectively, the business is not so hard physically because we can work without strong movement. It's not necessary. What is necessary? Sensibility and brain.
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yep.
and a woman as man has the same quality for that.
Yeah.
I know that.
100%. And in a lot of things, women are more sensible than men. So, were there any other, besides those two mentors, have you collected some friends along the way that you consult with when you're thinking about your decisions in the vineyards or anything like that?
Okay. Oh, that's a long, long story. We work
Perfect.
with organic practice, of course.
Okay.
I say of course because for me it's evidence when you drink good wine that the practice is organic. If no, you can obtain the best expression of the terroir. So organic is evident. But we used to a special practice called biodynamic because it's a way of being in perfect harmony with the soil, the weather, the moon, the stars, and to be exactly in the good feeling with the nature. But that's not sufficient today because we have a lot of challenge with the weather and the hotness. That's why we develop a lot of biodiversity systems. We plant trees, fruit trees in the vineyard, almond trees, olive trees, and different trees in the middle of the vineyard for obtain the best condition for fighting against the hotness and the dryness in the winter, in the summer, excuse me. We have a big deficit of water. It's a big problem, and the changing of the climate is not an idea; it's a fact. We mark that.
I
Do you know that?
I know that, but you've been watching. You watched us over the past 4 years, and people are like it's a hoax. It's not a hoax. It's you can look at any
It's
map
not an
of the
option.
world. You can look at any map, and it's hotter.
It's not an option.
Yeah.
Yes, we don't use any plastic. Never. No plastic in the vineyard. We don't use chemical products. Only natural products. We make herbs tea for the vineyard, and all my team is very very organic team because they eat organic and they live organic. It's important, really important. You have to be coherent between your thoughts and your what you do. And my wines are the expression of my vision. My vision is a world vision. I am Provençal and I am a world citizen. And for me, the question of the world are my question. At my place, I try to contribute to make the best as possible. And that is what I feel utile for the community of human. I try. And my team too. I have a fantastic team. There are 11 around me because I don't do nothing. They do.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
They are the most important people in the vineyard. They are, not me.
Yeah.
I am the ambassador, but they are the workers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
So, you mean you can't save your little part of the world by just doing your little bite out? I mean, I love what you said because people think like you are doing your part, but we all live on this planet. If the planet goes, we're all going. It's not like, people need to understand. We all need to pitch in and do our parts, and I love that. That's at the core, the center of what you're practicing down there. And just tell people a little bit about biodynamic, because you mentioned it is the theory from Rudolf Steiner is like you're aligning everything, all the systems with the star. So do you every spring do you get the bull's horn? And so tell people about what that, because a lot of people don't know what happens at a biodynamic vineyard.
The idea of the biodynamic is to understand that life is a circle, you know? So when the plant produces fruits, and we have to, the plant use the soil for food, and we have to give back to the soil what the plant takes for her. So we re-give to the soil what we take to the soil. The second idea is that we have to be the best observer of what happens around us, weather, rain, wind, and the sky, the stars, and the best moment for obtain the best result depends on the position of the planet and the position of the star and the moon. And we use this calendar for working.
Okay.
And the third idea, we use as possible as a homeopathic earth system. We use the plant for fighting against sick. Okay, we are very soft for working in the vineyard, and we only do what is necessary, no more. Less is more. That is most difficult. Don't touch if that is not necessary. For example, the green harvest is not very often in my vineyard. I prefer to cut the plant in the winter with a certain idea of the production and not to go back. Because when you go back, it's like if you touch a second time the skin of the plant. It's not good.
Yeah.
So less is more. That is what I think. And my team do exactly what we say together. Yes.
Yeah. So you know what's funny? In the United States, we call it drop-in fruit when they and last week's first time I heard green harvest. Now I've heard it like 5 times. It's so funny. But your philosophy is like you just want to be in tune with your vines. You're going to make that cut, and you're saying when it comes to harvest, it's going to have the right amount of fruit. Is that correct? Like you try not to go back and
yes, as possible.
Yeah.
Yes. But you know, since 2 years we have frost and hail, so the production is poor. That is nature. I accept. Second lesson, you have to accept. If you don't accept what happens, you became crazy, and I don't want to be crazy, and I want to sleep. So I accept what happens. Yes.
Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't we accept the fact that we have to take a quick break to satisfy the wonderful people bringing this podcast, and we'll be right back. Okay, we're back. And Isabel just took a nice big... By the way, this is fresh.
Yes.
So alive.
Yes.
Yeah, it's this white Chateauneuf is... See, that's a winemaker. That's how a vigneron tastes. You don't hear me. I just go, taste it. I'm excited to get on this red. Oh, well.
That's all for me.
You want to rinse or?
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, while we're rinsing and doing wine things, so you mentioned that, one of your mentors, he's from Gigondas. Why?
Yes.
Why Chateauneuf-du-Pape? Why not Gigondas? Why not Vaccaras? What drew you to Chateauneuf-du-Pape?
When I when I go back to the school for learning my new job of my winemaking, I was around 30 years, or a little bit more, and nobody did want to welcome me for being my teacher, professor of winemaking, because I was a lady, a woman, because I was not born in a farm family, and because I was not young enough. I was not like a baby coming from the school. So nobody wants to welcome me. And it was very hard to find somebody who accepts for me. Because in France, when you learn this job, you have to spend 1 week at school and 1 week in the vineyard.
Okay.
And somebody has to accept you. So Gigondas, Mr. A, was the president of the appellation of Gigondas.
Ah.
And when I call him, I tell him, you're the last one. If you don't accept me, I can't learn this job. That is what you want? Really? You don't want that a woman too old for you, not coming from a farm family, learn the job? It's stupid. He tells me, okay, come on, but shut up. And I shut up. That is true. So after a few days, I understand this guy was fantastic. It was the best teacher I could imagine in Gigondas. I didn't want to learn my job the first year in Châteauneuf-du-Pape because I did want to learn something different,
Okay.
a different view of Rhône Valley winemaking. So a year in Gigondas was a happy year. It's a nice town, very nice village, and it's I think Gigondas is more traditional as Châteauneuf. Châteauneuf is more modern for me. The school is more traditional.
I think, like you said, the Parkerization has made it more modern. You know, but yeah, I mean, well, we're on to your shots. What red are we drinking now that you brought? By the way?
We are drinking a cuvée Colombis. It's a gift for you.
Thank you.
I have a lot to. J'ai beaucoup à me faire pardonner. I have a lot to.
No, man, no.
To apologize. Thank you. So Colombis, what is that? Colombis is a message to the sensibility, the fineness. Châteauneuf-du-Pape can be a wine very silky, fresh, the best expression of the Grenache. This cuvée is made with 100% Grenache, coming from 3 different terroirs.
Okay.
It's a blend of terroir, sandy soil, limestone, and clay. These 3 terroirs are coming from the 3 parts of the appellation: north, east, and west parts. Turn to the north, turn to the east, and turn to the west. One is in the Rayas area, one in the Orange area, and one in the Colombis area. And Colombis gives the name to the cuvée. Colombis is one of the most feminine, maybe, and elegant wine I produce. And I remember maybe 15 years ago, one of those, maybe the second time as when Robert Parker came to the estate for tasting his wine with me. We sit down in the cellar and he says to me, what do you think about my rating? And I say to Bob, can I do what I think? Really? And he says to me, yes, we are together, tell me. And I say, Mr. Parker, you do a mistake with my wines. He look at me and say, you know who I am? I am Bob. And I answer to him, yes, I know, but you know, you love all the wines I create in Saint Prefert, Classique, Favier, and Giraud, but you don't understand Colombis because Colombis is the most Burgundy style wine I produce. And he answered to me, okay, explain. And I say to him, they are pure Grenache, only Grenache, and such a fresh Grenache are like a Pinot Noir in a Rhône Valley. And I think you need more sensation. You prefer more sugar sensation. You prefer more density, more tannins, more extraction in the wines. He listens to me, and a few months later, he gives a fantastic rating to my wines. He gives 100 to Colombis. It was 2007, I think so. And I think this man is honest because he can change of mind and he can listen and understand in what I want to do.
Right. He got the context of the one. He had it.
Exactly.
He had it
Yes.
out of the wrong. Once you put things in context, and just so I had a this is a 2018. At the 2013 last year, a friend of mine, we went to dinner.
Wow. It's good.
It was really good.
I love this wine.
Yeah. And to your point, so it was 8 years old when we had it. It had plenty of life left, but it was like I love this wine. Like it's got for me, it's still got like big ripe fruit, but it's not too much. But the fruit was dialed down maybe 2 notches.
Yes,
And then I
yes.
was like, oh,
A little bit licorice
yeah,
is coming
yeah.
with bitter. Yes, I use entire grapes. I don't
Oh,
distinguish.
okay. So this is full class. Okay, it's not.
Yes, for
Wow.
cluster.
Okay.
Yes, and I change the label every year.
Yes.
Every vintage has a different label. I paint it because this wine is expression of my singularity. It's a more personal wine I do. The more personal project I create, at the beginning of our speech, I say to you that making wine is an artistic
Yes,
project for me.
Yes.
And the label of Colombes are the expression of my artistic sensibility. It's important for me to give the temperature of the wine with a label, the temperature of the vintage. You have a collect.
Well, that's
wow.
Jeff
Jeff.
Yeah, so all your different labels.
He's a very good friend of me. He loves my wines.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Hello, Jeff. Hello, Jeff. And the daughter of Jeff is Isabella.
Ah.
Yes.
Jeff, you crafty devil, you. So this is like this is 3 different terroirs, and one is near Reyes. Now, as a vigneron in Châteauneuf-du-Pape, what is it about Reyes that, on a world level, it's just like
that is, I'm agree with your what you move. You move because Reyes is there.
Yep.
In the middle of the sky. That is something very special, very different, with a very clear tannins, no deep, and a lot of flowers. Reyes is a area, and Reyes is the identity of a family, famous family Renault, and the DNA of the family stays in the vines and in the wines, and that is very interesting to understand that this family has a very personal sensibility with elegant, fresh, flowering wines. They are very personal, and I respect that. I love that, as everybody. I think it's a fantastic star for the appellation and for all. It's a fantastic inspiration. For me, all is inspiration. When I drink wines of all the world, I'm inspired.
Yeah.
And when I travel, I am inspired. When I am in New York, I change. I will be different when I go back in France. And I find a little part of inspiration everywhere I travel. When I drink Reyes, I find a part of inspiration. I understand that people in all the world, around the world, love this wine because this wine is a purity in the flowering. It's a purity.
It's the perfume on the nose that is
exact.
really that makes it.
It's pure.
You don't like. It's one of those wines where you just you'll sniff it for 15 minutes. You don't even need it. Whereas, and that is known for sandy soils. Right. So so you have some that has sandy soils.
Exactly.
Yes.
And
then the other type of soils you said were.
The tannins are different in this soil because they are quartz.
Okay.
It's a sandy soil, sandy of quartz. And quartz gives a lot of silky tannins in the mousse. The sensation in the middle of the mousse is so silky. It's sensual, very sexy.
Yeah.
And the sensuality in the mousse is important. In the touch in the mousse is important. For me, the greatest wine of the world are wines made with a lot of sensuality in the middle of the mousse and a lot of fruits and flowers. They are the greatest wines in the world for me. I'm not looking for strong and a lot of tannins and wood. No, that is not the style I love.
Right.
The greatest wine I taste are like that.
Yeah.
With purity in the fruit, purity in the silky tannins.
Yeah. I would agree. I mean, that's probably why I like Chateauneuf so much. So I'm just blown away. I get to have this Colombie. And But let's talk about cuvée Auguste Favier, which is
Yes.
which a couple years ago,
Yes.
2019. So either it was either 2019 or your 2018.
Mm-hmm.
I must have bought about 8 bottles of that.
Yes.
I think I have one left. I can't stop. Couldn't
I have a
stop
scoop
drinking
for you.
Yeah.
I have a scoop.
it. Yeah.
Favier disappear. They are collector because I stopped to produce Favier and Giraud. Yes. Don't be anxious. Don't be anxious. Favier and Giraud, I quit these two wines
Yeah.
20 years ago when I did arrive in Châteauneuf. I remarked that the level of the vineyard of Châteauneuf-du-Pape in my estate were different. A part of the vineyard were sick, a part were dead, and I
Mhm.
work a lot during the 20 past years. In the same time, I select a part of the vineyard for Favier and a second part for Giraud.
Yeah.
But today, the earth of the vineyard is better, and the difference of the two cuvées is not evident. And I try to do a blend with the two, and with the new vintage 2020, I create a new only one great wines called Famille Isabel Ferrando, and 19 Réserve Auguste Favier 19 collection Charles Giraud are iconic because they are the last one I produce.
So, fortunately, this is not going to drop for about a month. So I'm going to go buy a bunch of this shit when I go home. I'll go snatch up all the bottles I
Can't
can of the 2019. For sure.
Yes.
But that wine, so what type of soils were those two grown? Because you mentioned about,
Yes.
yeah.
The soil of Favier is a soil with a big proportion of sand
Okay.
and a little part of big stones and sand.
Okay.
And Favier was a blend with Grenache around 85 and Cinsault 50.
And I think we talked about this, but the Cinsault,
Yes, it's a.
it lifts it.
I agree with you. I love Cinsault.
It-
And Favier was more Provençal, has the most important Provençal typicity of my wines, with
Okay.
herbs of Provence, thymus, and
Yep.
the sensation of olive and a little bit chocolate, bitter chocolate, flowers, and strawberries, of course. A touch of Chateauneuf is strawberries.
Has to be.
Yes, and Favier has a fantastic tasting. It is one of my favorite historic wines of Saint Prefert. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I think when we were doing our warm up, the 20 questions, I said, "What turned you on?" You said the next project.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And so before we get into the next project, which is Famille
Yes.
de Isabel Ferrando, let's go back. Just go back again to the beginning
Yes.
you,
was the
you
history,
actually,
of
yeah,
course.
because so you started. I think your first vintage was 2003.
Three. Yes.
But in 2002, wasn't there some bad floods through
Exact.
Okay,
exact.
so talk about
Oh,
that. Like
it was
your choice to go
terrible.
into the wine business, and then there's a catastrophic flood.
It was horrible for me because there was a hurricane in Châteauneuf-du-Pape, and the 12th of July 2002, we buy the estate with my husband. We buy the estate. We spend more money that we didn't have. We had a bank with us,
Yep.
and fast 1 month later, in September, everything was crushed. The vineyard was down, and the cellar was in the water. It was impossible to do wine. And we arrived. It was terrible. And my husband tells me, what happened? I said to him, don't be anxious, darling. It will be okay. Next year it's different. And I spent a year until 2003 to work in the vineyard for making the future vintage 2003. But 2002 is a very bad vintage in the memories of Châteauneuf-du-Pape, because we thought that it was the end of the world. It rains absolutely a lot, and rain doesn't stop, and we don't produce any fruits. It was a bad dream, very bad dream. So a year later, nature is fantastic. Nature is strong, because a year later, everything were revit reborn.
Yeah, revitalized, reborn.
Yes,
Yeah.
reborn, and
Yeah.
the plants reborn, and the opposite. It was the driest vintage we ever see at this date. 2003 very dry, 2002 rainy, crazy. My first vintage is 2003. I work the vineyard and I produce my first wine there. And I quit Réserve Auguste Favier, Collection Giraud. And I separate a different area, different terroir for making these two cuvées. Giraud was more masculine expression of the terroir. Favier was more feminine expression of the terroir because it's very fragile, very elegant, because of the proportion of Cinsault.
Yeah.
Collection Giraud has a big proportion of Mourvèdre, 40% Mourvèdre and 60 Grenache. That's
Oh, wow.
Yes,
Oh, so, wow.
it's
Wow.
special,
Yeah.
very special.
So as someone who you weren't from a farm family,
Yes,
how did you look at the vineyards and say, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that? Like, how did you decide?
with the help of Henri Bonneau.
Okay.
Yeah. Henri arrives and tells me, okay, Isabelle, I will explain to you the terroir of Châteauneuf-du-Pape,
Okay, yeah.
and I will explain your terroir. And we spend a long time in the vineyard, and he says me, you know that? It's not the same as that. And he shows me the vine for Favier and the vine for Giraud. As the model of Henri Bonneau estate with Réserve des Célestins et Cuvée Marie Beurrier, who are very different with different terroirs. He explains to me, Châteauneuf-du-Pape is the school of the terroir and the school of the blend. So you make a blend of the terroir of Favier with Grenache, Cinsault, a touch of Syrah, and we make a blend with Grenache and Mourvèdre for Collection Giraud. He helps me to understand and to make the difference between the level of the earth of the vine. It's important to understand that. And 20 years after, the great family go back. I know that you're surprised, but you be confident and believe in me.
I do. Your wines
You will see.
are phenomenal. So I do, but it's just, I mean, I was just thinking.
But
like,
it's a challenge, to change. It's always a challenge.
Right. But I think you're fortunate in that people who like Chateauneuf-du-Pape,
Yes.
we get it. So it's more, for me, it's more cerebral than Bordeaux, right? Like they blend in Bordeaux, but you have so much to choose from. And like Rhone lovers, we get it. Like we're like, okay, this is gonna be. We get excited for stuff like this.
Yes.
Versus like, there's Chateau First Gross. God bless them. They crank out 100,000 cases of wine that is always 98 to 100 points, and their wines they're delicious.
Yes.
But it's almost formulaic over there now. Versus like no one at a major chateau with the scores you get, equivalent scores, and is going to be like, well, let me change it up. You're not going to do that. Right?
Bordeaux is, for me, Bordeaux is important appellation for all the world.
For the world, yeah.
But you can find in Bordeaux fantastic wines in the good price. For example, around Bordeaux, you have Saint-Emilion, of course, and you have
That's my go-to.
Yes, and
I
you
find
have
great wines for like $40. Like,
exactly, and you can find fantastic wine for $40.
Yeah.
Bordeaux is fantastic ambassador of the French wines, and I can understand that you are shocked by the price of the great chateau,
right?
But Bordeaux is not only great chateau. There are fantastic good wines.
And now there's like Côte de Bordeaux, which are emerging. But always my play really has been Saint-Emilion. Because there's it's very
Côte de Castillon is fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
You can find those for like under 25, and they're really good.
Yes.
If you know what you're doing.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
But again. This is going to be a fun episode for people that are like, oh my God, she's not making that wine anymore. No. So let's talk about going from flood to first vintage to the rebirth of the vineyard to the terroir masterclass by Bonneau
Yes.
to over those years, the past 20 years, like what changed in the style for
Ah.
you to come back to like, I'm going to make one wine?
It's interesting. I am modern woman, so
You are.
yes, I introduce it every year, something new in my style because
Mhm.
I move. I'm not the same as 20 years ago,
Mhm.
and for me, wines has to be more and more fresh every year. And for me, the challenge of the next year is to offer the best wine as possible in immediately availability and a fantastic freshness and fantastic well balanced. And I am inspired by everything I see, everybody I meet. I spend a long time in the vineyard of my colleague in the rest of the world,
Okay.
all around the world,
Yeah.
and I listen everything. For example, I change a part of my aging in the reds. I use amphore
Okay.
today
Mhm.
for aging my wines. I use a glass vat for the
glass
white.
vat.
Yes, it's new and it's not finished because slowly I will offer to the consumers the new idea I have for the best wine I love. And it will be an eternal renew for me. My daughter, Guillemette, is arriving in the next 2 years. She's 25. And I know she will give me other idea, other modernity in the style of the wines. We stay a modern family, and I want to offer modern wines, not archaeological wines. It's not my subject.
I love that. Yeah,
Wines is brilliant.
yeah, it's a living thing, so why shouldn't it
Yes.
evolve as we evolve, right?
Exact.
You know,
Yes.
um,
Yes.
What's that? Talk about your daughter. So she said she'll be 25, so she's grown up in the vineyards.
Yes.
What was it like having your daughter in the vineyards those first when she was young? Like, did she come along in the vineyards and play? What was it like?
So, the last past 24 years, she says me, I never will do no wines, ma'am. So, I thought, okay, why not? She can do everything else. And a year ago, she calls me. She makes a great business school. She was in London, in Berlin,
Oh,
in
wow.
Paris, okay. And she calls me last spring and tells, Ma'am, I sit down, please. Okay, I sit down. And she tells me, I am for the next year, I am in the wine school of Bonn for learning the job of winemaking. And say, Guillemette, it's fantastic. It's a fantastic dream. Why? She tells me, I never say to you, but I am interested. So, okay. I know she has a big sensibility. I know she has a fantastic tasting because she loves wine. She spent 6 years in Bonn and Burgundy vineyard, 1 week in the school like me, and 1 week in the winery of Jean-Marc Rouleau in Meursault. And then she will go back. She will travel to Napa Valley in September. And she spent the next vinification in the Ezelé vineyard in Napa Valley with a team of Hélène Mingot, fantastic woman I met. And then she go back, she will fly to New Zealand.
Oh, wow.
She spent a vinification in New Zealand. And then I hope she will spend a good moment in Spain, maybe in Alvaro Palacios, in Priorat, or everywhere in Spain, for learning the high temperature and making good wines in the hot weather. That is a project of my daughter. I'm happy because, when you plant vine, it's not for you.
Right.
It's for the next generation.
Mhm.
And I believe in the next generation. I love this time. I'm not afraid. I love the challenge of the weather. I am very optimist. I know that the young will do what they have to do for changing the future. I am confident. I know that they are able to do it. I'm absolutely confident in the young people. I believe in them. And I love this epoch, this moment. This moment is a challenging moment. We have to do what we have to do, but we can do it, don't it? Is in America, you're able to understand that we can do it.
Yeah.
It's a question of mentality, and it's a question of decision.
Yep.
We have to decide to do it. But I'm optimist. We will do it.
And so, what would you, what are you most proud of over the course of your career? Because it seems like you were a pioneer, a female pioneer down in Chateauneuf.
Yes.
Is it just the amazing wines, or are you most proud of that your daughter now is going to become a winemaker? Like, what are you most?
I'm proud about the fact that my team chose me.
Oh wow.
Yes, because I have a lot of respect for my team. They are very nice people, very intelligent people. And I consider that people choose you. It's not the opposite. When people arrive in the estates, they say to me, I want to work with you, Madame Ferrando. And for me, I was
Do people
touched.
just walk up like?
Yes,
Wow.
yes. And they arrive and tells me, I want to work with you. For example, there are a Spanish guy who are teacher in the life, and they spend a year with me and say, we lose the school, just spending a year with you. That's fantastic. It's a collective adventure making wines. I am proud about the fact people choose me. I am proud about the fact that consumers love my wines. It's a way for saying to me, we are agree with your choice. They are agree with my choice, with my wines, with my vision of the vineyard and of the wines. And that is what I am proud. Of course, I will be proud of my daughter, but she has to make the job.
Yeah, well, Mama knows the job, so she's not gonna. You're not gonna let her slack off.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Children has to do the job.
Yeah.
I'm sure she can.
Yeah.
She's able, of course.
Right.
She's my daughter. She works hard. But for the moment, I'm proud about the customer's choice my wines, and my team choice the estate where they work. That is my...
Speaking of team, we had a California winemaker out here, and that was also his thing. His team was amazing.
Yes.
How long? What's the average time how long has your team been together? Like he has what are they called? Quadrillo in Spanish, but it's called the squad. Like there was these 5 guys who've been there for like, and they've grown out. It's like how long has like your core people been?
Usually they before the COVID, people stay 7 years with me.
Yeah.
But since the COVID, the mentality changed, and it's a sign of the time.
Yeah.
The people want to stay 2-3 years, maybe more. They're not sure, but they say me between 2 and 3 years. And we create a team. I don't create; they create the team. And you know, I have a special vision of the management. There is no boss. Everybody is a boss. Everybody is responsible of her act. And the team is fantastic because of that. We just speak by phone when I am in USA. We speak about the option of working in the vineyard, and we all agree, and they do. There is no boss around them, and nobody is at the clock and say, okay, go, okay, stop. No, it doesn't exist. But they are very, very engaged.
Yeah.
Okay? The project is our project. It's a new way of managing, and for me it's comfortable because I am confident. I have no anxious. When I go back, the job is made.
Yeah.
That is the most important. The other face of that is that we share the result. We share. It does mean my estate is a capitalist estate, of course, but the results are shared between the employers and the investment, and not only for me and my daughter, the owner. It's important to understand that. That is the only way for me for this project will be the best and obtain the best results. Et ça marche, and it goes. It's a good model. It works very good. So
And you're a banker, so so
and I
you would
was
know.
banker.
You were a
Yes,
banker.
I know. Yes, money is necessary for investment, but that it's not the object.
Right.
No.
It's like you said. I think you've said it all. Like the whole Rhone region is its family. It's
Yes.
connection to the land. It's so I think it's wonderful that like they're a part of it. It's not they're not okay. Well, you pick the grapes, boom, wine's made, boom, goodbye, thanks. It's actually they actually
Mm.
are part of it.
The system are new and the mentality are different, and we have to understand what people really want, and we have to respect the new vision of each one. That is my view, and I can accept that somebody tells me, I just want to stay 2 years, no more, because in my life, that is 2 years for you. Okay, so what do you want to do, and what do you give us, and we give to you, and it works. But we have to be very clear and honest.
Yeah.
The only point that everybody has to share is the vision,
Wow.
organic vision, and the model of the family business, not money business, family business, and the woman owner of the business. But I agree, that's not a subject for us. There are a lot of religion in my team.
Okay.
Yes, that is no question. A lot of religion, a lot of sexuality, a lot of... that's not my subject. My subject is we are together for share this project. And it works.
That's great. So one last question before we wrap up. Tell me, what was the bottle of Chateauneuf-du-Pape that just made you go, wow, I think I might need to make this wine? Was there
I
one?
think to the cuvée spéciale Henri Bonneau 90, cuvée spéciale. It's a special wine that Henri produced only 2 years, 90 and 98, twice. We drink it together in his house with my husband. Henri and my husband were very friends, and they passed away, both. So that's a great memory for me to remember this moment around the table when we share this bottle with the wife of Henri, of course, and Marcel, and my daughter Guillemette. And we drink this wine with lamp from Mont Ventoux. It was a fantastic moment because Henri speaks a lot. He was happy. We were happy. And I think it's one of the best bottles of my life because of the moment and the people around the table. Fantastic bottles. I have 2 other in my cellar. I am lucky, very lucky.
Yes,
I'm
you
waiting
are.
for the good moment with a good person for sharing the bottle.
Black wine guy's coming over. So you want to bust out one of those bottles? Some of that Cinsault.
Did you know this wine, Cuvée spéciale Henri Bonneau?
Yes, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Did you heard? Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's the bottle I had. It was one of the barrels that was going to go into that. And this merchant in New Jersey said, "Give me that barrel," and he bought it. So it's basically the same wine. That's the wine that did it for me. I was like that 90 Bonneau, Cuvée spéciale.
Yeah. Okay.
Just.
Yes, fantastic.
And I had been in the wine business like 2 years. I didn't even know really what it was. I just knew it was just a stunning wine.
Yes.
Just I was like, and it's even the name Châteauneuf-du-Pape. It's sexy. So there you go.
I agree.
Isabel, thank you so much for coming in, and I'm glad we got to do this.
Thank you so much for this moment.
Tell people where they can find out more about your wines, what your website is, whatever your Instagram is.
The wines arrive in New York in the next 2 months. A new cuvée, Family Isabel Ferrando 2020, and there's 21 for the white. Columbus stays.
Okay.
As Columbus 20 arrives. And next year you will see all the projects I will
Well, we'll have to
create.
sit down again next year.
And thank you for New Yorker people who love the Châteauneuf-du-Pape and my wines. It's always a great moment. I was touched by the town today because I find New York a little bit sleeping. I hope
It's a
New
little
York
it's
wake
a
up.
little dormant after COVID.
Yes,
There's a
I
COVID
can understand.
hangover, and we're
Mm.
hoping it bounces back. I mean, it is a little challenging, and
But life is stronger.
but
Don't
life, yeah,
forget.
exactly. Life is stronger than all of us. It's going to keep going. So
Yes.
just remember, the planet will be here. We might not. So the planet is going to survive. So
The planet will survive. I
so-
know
so-
that,
so,
and New
like you
York
said,
will be.
and life comes back. That's New York is a tough city. It's just it's just in one of those cycles right now. So. So everybody, we're going to put Isabel's information, as you know, in the show notes. Make sure you check out the show notes for each episode. That's where you find the info on the wines we drank, these incredible wines we drank today.
Thank you.
Links to some of the, like I said, we'll put our social links to the website for now it's going to be Famille Isabel Ferrando. And until next time, my friends, to all you mavericks, philosophers, deep thinkers, and wine drinkers, we had another guest that checks off all those boxes. It's your boy MJ saying peace.